Thank you. Welcome to the Sister Nicolette Hour. Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. I'm going to identify the true history of the original black woman right here in North America, highlighting the 400-year sacrifice that we have made, sisters, and identifying our reward for making that sacrifice. And then I will show how our history is directly connected to what's going on in the world right now, specifically the war in the Middle East. Now, our true experience is called the Holocaust, not slavery. Understand that slavery is an economic system of capitalism. Working someone without paying them. Capitalism is maximum profit, minimum overhead. Slavery is just 1% of our experience. It does not identify how these devils conducted themselves towards us, how they behaved themselves while we were in the fields tending to their agricultural needs. The Holocaust is the correct term that identifies our full experience, which was horror from start to finish. Understand that these devils, America, Britain, and false Israel, all worked together to put us through the Holocaust, to afflict us with pain and suffering, beyond comprehension. They physically and psychologically tortured us 24/7. And even through all that torture, we still maintained their economics by working the fields, growing their food, building their homes, taking care of their livestock so they can have steaks and pork chops. And how did they treat us during that process? How did they conduct themselves? They violated us in every way imaginable, every way possible. They took our names away from us and they branded us with their names. They took our language away from us and gave us their language. They stripped the clothes off of our backs, sisters, and raped us day and night, 24/7, relentlessly. They crossed all boundaries during the Holocaust. They raped us from birth all the way until death. They did not spare any of us. So, let me point this out. Just the fact that they raped us lets you know right there, that's evidence right there that we didn't want to lay down with these devils. We didn't want these devils touching us, period. So they took something, they stole something that does not belong to them. They took our wombs without our consent and used our wombs to manufacture, to produce a race of hybrid devils in black skin. And they know that it is a scientific biological fact that the father carries the seed. Therefore, the father determines the nature of the child, the bloodline. Because you are the seed of your father. There is no exceptions. So they knew exactly what they were doing by trying to rape our seed out of existence. As for 400 plus years, the rape was so consistent that now half of the blacks in America are Europeans in black skin, which are called house Negroes, demons, half devil, half man. They have a black appearance from the rape of the original black woman. However, the bloodline and the nature of their devil fathers. So these devils knew exactly what they were doing, and they went to war with us as they tried to wipe our seed out of existence. And us being the warrior queens that we are, we stood up for our nation in a time of need. And these devils were not victorious. And we are the evidence of that today. Because these devils wanted to totally wipe our seed out of existence. Do you understand that that is genocide? No other nation has experienced what we have experienced, sisters. That's why it is important that you are recognized and rewarded for your sacrifice. No one can take away the sacrifice, the service of us being on post for our nation in a time where we barely had enough energy to survive. So we were on double duty, if you will. Because not only did we tend the fields and take care of their agricultural needs, while we're taking care of the economic situation, while we're assisting keeping their economics going by working the fields, they're hopping off of the horse and raping us. Just satanic, totally disrespectful. Violated us on every level. And then they did not permit us to be intimate with each other and reproduce. Again, they wanted to wipe our seed out of existence totally. No other nation has seen the type of genocide that these devils have put us through. A direct attack on our seed. And we snuck to procreate with our original black man. We were thinking ahead. We knew that if we keep our seed coming through our womb, that our sons would grow up and avenge us. So we must not forget our true history, which they are working overtime to make sure that we don't understand what they did to us. Because after learning about your history, the next logical question is, what is my reward? So far, we have identified how they physically tortured us, specifically focusing on what they did to us, sisters, trying to rape our seed out of existence, and how we overcame that plot, the murderous plot that these devils were carrying out. So we have already been victorious in a battle against these devils. Understand that. We have already won a battle against these devils. And with this war in the Middle East and all the events that's going to happen as a result of this war, the outcome of this war, we are stepping into another battle, sisters. And just as we were victorious in the fields when they try to wipe our seed out of existence, we're going to be victorious again and again and again and again. So let's look at how they psychologically tortured us. Jesus. Where did this name come from? Who is Jesus? Let's keep moving.
Jesus? Who is that?
Jesus. Jesus does not exist. That name is nowhere in the original manuscripts. You will not find the name Jesus in the New Testament, Old Testament, or the Quran.
Jesus? Who is that?
The original manuscripts were written in Aramaic, Hebrew, and Arabic, not in Greek, not in Spanish, and not in French. The original manuscripts states Yahshua, which means Joshua, brothers and sisters. Joshua leads us to the promised land, brothers and sisters.
Jesus? Who is that? The Greeks' supreme being is called Zeus. Zeus means Greek god of the sky, king of the gods. GE is a prefix for earth, such as geology, geography, geopolitics. There is no JE in Greek. So Zeus means God of the earth. Zeus does not exist. So Jesus, which comes from Jesus, is a myth, sisters and brothers. Jesus does not exist either. So they use that Greek translation to get you as far from Joshua the Messiah as possible, to deter you from knowing who you are and who the Messiah is. Jesus? Who is that?
Joshua, the Messiah, is in the original Semitic manuscripts. They translated Messiah to the Greek language, which means Christos. Then they translated the word Christos to English, which means Christ. This is how they got the word Christ. However, Joshua was never in Greece, and he did not speak Greek. So, translating from the original Semitic manuscripts straight to the English language will give you Joshua, the Messiah, not Jesus Christ.
So Jesus is all a lie? The whole thing is made up? The name Jesus comes from the Greek mythology, which is all a fairy tale? Jesus never existed? This destroys the whole religion of Christianity. They got the letter J in Jesus from translating Jesus to English. It was a made-up word from the Greek translation of Jesus, meaning God of the earth. There is no letter J in Greek, so you cannot make the prefix JE in Greek. Instead, you get GE, which stands for earth in Greek. They did all of this so when you translate the word Jesus to English, you get the word Jesus. Because English language makes the word form just how it sounds. And that's how they got Jesus. This is all done to detour you from the true Messiah, Joshua, the fulfillment of the Abrahamic covenant, who is also the messenger of the covenant. He has skin of burnished bronze and hair like lamb's wool. There's only one person that meets this description. So Jesus Christ is a divergent form of Joshua, the Messiah. They don't want us to know about Joshua because we are all going to have a common vision. And we are all going to unite. And they cannot have that take place, sisters and brothers.
All right, sisters. Psychological torture that these devils put us through. They put their religion on us, of Christianity. They told us to believe in a lie. Jesus does not exist. However, they used the Jesus lie to keep us in fear. They told us if we don't believe in Jesus, we're going to burn in hell forever and ever. The psychological trauma that puts on not just a person, but a mother is extremely intense. Because now there's a certain conviction that we felt to promote this lie to our children so that our children don't go to hell. Not even realizing that we are in hell right now. Somehow these devils convinced us that there's a Jesus up in the sky. And if we don't obey and we don't believe in Jesus, and we're going to burn in hell forever and ever. And they convinced us that hell was beneath us in the ground, and some devil with a pitchfork when in reality, the devils were in our face the whole time. So they instilled this psychological torture, this psychological fear. They tortured us nonstop with it. So, and they knew what they were doing by putting that weight on the sisters. Because the sisters, like I said, felt conviction. Like we have to make something right. Like we have to fix. This is on top of the fact that they gave us their sealed perspective of the Bible. So they told us that women are sinful, that Eve caused Adam to sin. They don't understand what that scripture truly means. However, they put that fear into us. So all throughout the Holocaust, you see our sisters from when we broke free, not they didn't let us anything, we broke free of our chains. However, we were still in fear, and we're in fear to this very day as a people. So a lot of our sisters are in the church, bringing their families into the church, all out of fear, scared to ask questions. That Jesus lie is one of their tactics to keep us from thinking, to stop us from asking questions and connecting the dots and figuring things out. So now a lot of our sisters are in the church thinking that they're saving their family from hell, not even realizing that they are still frozen in fear and experiencing the psychological trauma, living that trauma out every day. There is no mystery God, which is what they want you to believe. They didn't speak about Joshua the Messiah, because then that causes you to think, to ask questions to the Messiah, Joshua the Messiah. And again, let me go back and explain this. They didn't allow us to read or write. So we weren't even allowed to read these scriptures for ourselves and see what was going on. The house Negroes were the ones over the churches telling us how we were supposed to be looking at these scriptures or understanding it, which we were given a very limited exposure to any of the scriptures. They were reading that off to us. They were running the sermons and telling us all of their propaganda and lies. And so they stopped us from thinking for ourselves. They prevented us from thinking by putting that Jesus lie on us. This mystical character that's totally made up, does not even exist. So we have to understand that the horror that these devils afflicted on us, the affliction that we endured, was on many different levels. So let's keep going. What does the scripture say about this? All right, Genesis chapter 15. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be sojourners in a land that is not theirs. So our father Abram had a vision of horror. And it said, know of a surety that thy seed shall be sojourners in a land that is not theirs. So sojourners means temporary. In a land that is not theirs, that means that this land is not ours. So that means that we're getting out of this land. That means that anybody telling you that America is our land is your enemy. Anybody telling you that we need to get reparations is your enemy, because it clearly says that this land is not ours. It says sojourners. That means we are temporarily in this land. And it says that, and shall serve them. We served these devils. We served America. And they shall afflict them 400 years. They afflicted us. And it gives us the time period. And the 400 years went from 1619 to 2019. It shares, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge. So 1619 to 2019, 400 years. How do we know? How do we verify that that timeline is correct? What happened in 2020? The book of Exodus tells us that a plague will hit Egypt, passing over those, and I'm paraphrasing, passing over those who have the blood of the Lamb. And killing the firstborn and the elderly Egyptians, which represents the devils. And that's exactly what happened. 2020 came in, the plague, the judgment started right on schedule. So, COVID, it did not affect Africa. It did not kill the original black man and woman right here in North America. It passed over us. However, it dropped these devils like flies. They are still crippled from COVID-19, which is the plague that started, or the judgment that started in 2020. They are still crippled from that. And the judgment is going to increase. It's only going to get worse. That's just the tip of the iceberg. So what we are witnessing right now with America, at war and losing, being unsuccessful, their economy is crashing right before our eyes. They are totally discombobulated. All of this is part of their judgment for what they did to us, for afflicting us and touching our women. They knew exactly what they were doing by touching another nation's woman. You don't do that, America. And they are paying and will continue to pay a very heavy price for what they have done to us. So we know that the 400 years lasted from 1619 to 2019 because 2020 came in with the plague. The judgment started. It said, also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. So that, again, it's clearly saying that we're coming out of America with great substance. But thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Well, our father is not from America, so that's just reinforcing that we're leaving. The scriptures are very clear. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. And in the fourth generation, we're in the fourth generation right now, sisters and brothers, they shall come hither again, which means return to the same land our father Abram was in when he had the vision of horror of what his seed would endure. And in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch that passed between these pieces. All right, sisters and brothers. So that is our experience. Let me go back. Now, this is Abram's vision of horror, and that's exactly what we endured. So understand that no one else on the planet fits the description of Abraham's seed but the original black man and original black woman right here in North America. Now, the very ones that have afflicted us false Israel, who financed the transatlantic slave trade, they also raped us. Along with America and Britain. False Israel has our identity. They claim they are the seed of Abraham. However, right here in this scripture, it clearly states what Abraham's seed would endure. So they're claiming to be Abraham's seed. However, nowhere in history was false Israel sojourners in a land that is not theirs, undergoing enslavement and affliction for 400 years. They weren't stolen from their home and brought to a strange land. To be enslaved and afflicted for the next 400 plus years. So, and in scriptures they say, they admit themselves that they have never been in bondage or enslaved by any man. So this is a clear, hard stop for false Israel. This is clear evidence that they are liars and thieves and murderers. And they are also under judgment. So, when you see so-called black leaders saying that we need to fight for America, this is our land. Louis Farrakhan is saying that we ain't going nowhere. However, what does the very next scripture identify? In that day, God made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. So, the Abrahamic covenant is the reward which is more than a promise, sisters and brothers. Understand that this is God's sure and volatile word. Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. When you look on a map, those two rivers are not in America. So these so-called black leaders, and specifically Louis Farrakhan, they know about the 400 years of enslavement and affliction in a strange land that is not ours. But they're not telling you that you have a reward. And Farrakhan says that we ain't going nowhere. So they are all calling God a liar, telling us that we need to get reparations and that we need to take America over and make it great and run America. That is sick. That is not our vision. This is our vision. Everything else is just noise and distractions from our open and hidden enemies. So this is what our mission is, sisters. This is what we have this is our mission to fulfill, to see this through to all the way through to completion. We have somewhere to be. We have our own land. We are promised, which is more than a promise, God gave us his sure and volatile word that we have our own economics. So, with this war in the Middle East, the unsealed scriptures identifies how the war is going to turn out. And we know that Iran is going to win this war. Iran, who is backed by our God, Master Farad Muhammad. And Syria is also aligned with Iran and our God, Master Farad Muhammad. And they will be victorious. They will win this war, sisters and brothers. And America, Britain, and false Israel, and the House of Assad will lose the war. So understand that our land between the river of Egypt and the great river Euphrates is Arabia. That's our promised land. However, right now, someone is on our land that should not be there. And they have renamed our land Saudi Arabia. The House of Assad is sitting on our land pretending that it's theirs. The House of Assad is also controlling our oil and our holy sites. The House of Assad is aligned with America, Britain, and false Israel. And they are fighting against Master Farad Muhammad, the God, Iran, and Syria. However, the House of Assad, America, Britain, and false Israel will be defeated. So, the House of Assad, who's controlling our oil, fuels America, Britain, and false Israel. The House of Assad is called the dragon. And that's his angels, America, Britain, and false Israel. And the dragon fuels his angels with our oil. So understand that America's entire economic system is built off of oil. Oil is the backbone of the economy. It is the lifeblood. Okay, and without that oil, everything comes to a screeching halt. So any day now, our God, Master Farad Muhammad, Iran and Syria is going to win the war in the Middle East. And once they win the war in the Middle East, they're going to kick America, Britain, false Israel, they're going to kick America and Britain out, and false Israel will no longer have any military backing. So they will be left stranded and will go under siege and be destroyed. And the House of Saud, who's sitting on our land pretending that it's theirs, controlling our oil, they will also be kicked out of the Middle East, thrown out. Thrown out of the Middle East. And Iran will take control of our oil and our holy sites. So we're actually witnessing the process of the Middle East, which is heaven, and our home, Arabia, getting cleaned up. Now we understand that once we get over there, we're going to have to finish clearing our land out. However, the point of the matter is that we're watching a purification taking place. Everything getting put in its proper order. Those who don't belong being removed. So that is how this is directly connected. Our vision, the Abrahamic covenant, and our history, sisters, which qualifies us to receive the Abrahamic covenant, which is our reward and our inheritance. This identifies that this war is about us. It's about the Abrahamic covenant. It's about our inheritance. It's about our reward, which these devils are fighting tooth and nail to keep us from receiving. America and Britain gave our identity to false Israel. So false Israel stole our identity with the help of America and Britain. Understand that when Elijah Muhammad was on the scene, he declared that we are the true seed of Abraham. And so Elijah Muhammad was on the scene from the 1930s into 1975 when he departed. Well, America and Britain came together and established false Israel in the Holy Land, which is Jerusalem, in 1948. False Israel claims that they are the seed of Abraham. The seed of Abraham gets Arabia. That's our promised land. False Israel is not in Arabia. False Israel is in Jerusalem. They are also what's known as Palestine. That is the Holy Land. So this is more evidence that they cannot possibly be the true seed of Abraham, because they're saying that the Abrahamic covenant has been fulfilled, but yet they're not in the land that is promised to the true seed of Abraham. So they are liars and thieves and murderers. They're in a land that does not belong to them, claiming to be someone that they are not. They are an abomination. And they are over in the Holy Land causing desolation, which means destruction. And this is a clear sign that false Israel is about to be destroyed. So hold your head up, sisters, because now is our time. Now, when Iran takes control of the oil, after America and Britain lose the war, Iran is going to cut off America's oil supply. Now understand, oil is the lifeblood of this economy. So, all right, we're going to come back to this slide. We got come to the oil. When Iran turns off America's oil supply, their economy is going to collapse overnight. Total destruction of America's economy. No more resources, because understand that it takes oil to do everything. It takes oil for them to transport things. It takes oil for them to clean water. It takes oil for them to produce crops and to get the groceries into the grocery stores. It takes oil to do everything, and they have relied on this oil. And they have this industrial complex. Yet something as simple as turning off the oil supply is going to cause an immediate economic destruction, sisters and brothers. And things are going to change overnight. Things will not be the same. Understand that we are witnessing all things being made new. And in order for us to move into our new economic system, under our vision of the Abrahamic covenant, we have to step out of this American economic system, this American dream, this gravitational vortex, this delusion that they have us in. So this economic collapse is for our benefit. However, we must understand that this is going to be a period of extreme panic, because these devils, they don't see it coming, and they do not know how to, what's the way to put it? They have not been in this position. They have not been in a situation where they no longer have any food, water, electricity. They have not been in this situation where their economic structure has been completely shut down, and they are facing famine. So, and when I say they haven't experienced, they have not experienced it on this level. They've had the Great Depression and other events. However, they have not experienced a permanent famine, their lights being cut off permanently. So this is going to be a shock. However, you're getting this information in advance, sisters and brothers, so that you don't fall into the shock. And you don't have to panic, because you're being given information to tell you exactly what's going to happen before it happens. So America's oil is going to be turned off. It will be an immediate famine of all resources. Their economy is going to collapse. And it will be clear that the target is on our backs, sisters and brothers. America is going to make a move to attack all blacks. Plus, understand that the 3/5 human clause classifies us as animals, because 3/5 human means that you're not 100% human. So that means that we are classified as animals. So in a time of famine, what will they do to us, being that they have us classified as food? and they don't have any food. So understand that we are in danger, and we are going to get to safety. Now, I know you see the gas prices rising, sisters and brothers, steadily rising. Understand that it's wise to be prepared, because we have our own economics, which is the Abrahamic covenant. And Iran is about to turn off America's economics. So in between that is a transition period of us transitioning from this false reality of the American dream to our vision of the Abrahamic covenant. Because we have to get home. So there's a transition period of us actually going through the process to get home. Understand that when this economic collapse takes place, we want to be as prepared as possible, fully prepared. We want to be fully prepared. Now understand that we will have food. We will eat. So we're going to take care of our economic needs, and our God, Master Farad Muhammad, is going to feed us. So we are not going to be reduced to cannibalism like these devils are. However, in that transition, that's part of the transition period, we want to have at least a 30-day supply, at least a 30-day supply of food that does not need to be cooked. Have it packed up in your car, ready to go. Get yourself some gas containers, fill them up, tighten the caps, make sure they're stored properly. Have that in your car, however you're going to store it, wherever you're going to place it at, and have it ready to go. And be ready and prepared to move out at any moment. Because things are happening very quick. So we want to stay ahead of this, which the scriptures gives us all the information that we need to stay several steps ahead of these devils, as long as we understand and move on the information that we are being given. So the scriptures is for us. It is, the unsealed scriptures is our true mind, sisters and brothers. The angel is our true mind. And understand that we have an exit out of America's destruction. We have an escape route. We put in our time here in America, and now it's time to go home. And we're witnessing this whole process of our land starting to get cleaned up. Understand that we're going to have to do more. When we get home, there's going to be stragglers there, stubborn Arabs and any other enemies that refuse to leave. We're going to have to clear our land out. We're promised our land. We got to get there and prepare it. However, the point of the matter is we're looking at the process of the Middle East being cleaned up of our enemies, them getting removed out of heaven, getting removed out of our home. And as we see our brothers, Iran and Syria, being victorious in the Middle East, that lets you know that we're going to be victorious as well. And I say that because as you see America getting their behinds kicked and them getting thrown out the Middle East, you will see conflict amongst the Europeans, the European nations. You will see Louis Farrakhan, who is one of their black-faced children, getting thrown out of the Nation of Islam. So America getting thrown out of the Middle East lets you know what's about to happen to the Europeans right here in America. It's letting you know that, let me see how to put this, sisters and brothers. Iran and Syria are our brothers. Us seeing them be victorious is letting us know that we're about to be victorious. Why? Because we have the same DNA. They are original. We share the same father. Okay? And then with America, Britain, and false Israel, they share the same DNA. And we see that Louis Farrakhan right here is going to be cast down, which means thrown violently out of the Nation of Islam. So there's a connection between each side of this. If you understand what I'm saying, there's a connection there between those who are going to be victorious and those who are going to lose on all aspects, on all levels of this war that's taking place and this changing of realities. So the bottom line of the point I'm trying to make is that we see our brothers being successful in the Middle East. That's actually inspiring to us. Not only are they fighting on our behalf, but they are in sync with the Abrahamic covenant. And if they're going to be successful, that means we're going to be successful as well. However, we're going to make sure that we understand that it's nothing spooky about it. We're going to make it happen. We're going to save ourselves. So, however, that's inspiring to see that. And it's encouraging. So pay attention to what's happening, sisters and brothers. Have no fear. So let's keep moving. This is what we have to look forward to, sisters. Us being home in our own land, secured and protected, standing side by side, equal to our original black man, not being oppressed or disrespected ever again. Us taking our place on our pedestal where we rightfully belong and will remain on our pedestal. And these devils serving us. Whichever of them make it out of here alive, they will be our servants. Bowing down to us and doing whatever we need them to do. And they will be happy to do it. No resistance. So understand that for every action is an opposite and equal reaction. You have earned your reward, sisters. And as long as you want to come home, you're coming home. And you will be protected. And our discipline, our unity and cooperation with one another under our vision of the Abrahamic covenant is going to ensure that we stay on our pedestals. So we will no longer be being told what to do, being told how to dress, being told how to talk, how to walk. We will be in control of ourselves. So sisters and brothers, sisters specifically, our true 400-year history right here in North America is called the Holocaust. And our reward is the Abrahamic covenant, which is our vision. We have a vision. And we are about to unite under our vision and reclaim our power, sisters. Reclaim our power. So with that, that brings the Nicolette hour to a close. Assalamu alaikum. Sisters and brothers, stay informed, stay aware, and be prepared. Stay with us for continuous coverage and insight. We Reflect the Light newscast continues now.